Hey Eurovision fans, it's time for another Eurovision news update. Czechia have been confirmed for Eurovision 2024, and we've also got an absolute ton of national final news. Albania, Estonia, and we've the song titles for Malta. Loads and loads to talk about. Let's kiki. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Tom. I'm an Irish Eurovision analyst, and you can find all of this stuff on my Eurovision channel. As always, I have trampled through the trash of social media to bring you all of the juiciest and latest Eurovision news. So loads and loads going on right now. First of all, let's start off with some really good news, which is that Czechia have confirmed for Eurovision 2024. Now, they were one of the countries I was a little bit worried about because it does seem a little bit touch and go every single year. But the broadcaster CT confirmed their participation earlier this week, and then we had a follow-up tweet from Ahmad Haloun, hopefully I'm saying his name right, who is the Czech head of press who's active on Twitter, saying, "Hey guys, after a few hard weeks and literally almost died yesterday, but in the end I didn't. Seeing the reaction to Czechia confirming the participation at Eurovision is so nice and fulfilling. I promise we won't stop until we bring the crystal microphone to Prague." So a couple of interesting things in here. First of all, saying that he literally almost died. So it sounds like the process of getting Czechia confirmed wasn't clear cut. They had to fight for it, and that's always the impression I have recently with Czechia, is that it's not as simple as some other places where, you know, Sweden, they just go, yeah sure, of course we're going to pay for Melody Festival another year. I think the Czechia delegation have to justify it a lot more because viewing figures in the country are still comparatively quite low. So they had to work hard for it, but they got it done. So thank you to the Czechia delegation for doing that. That is just pure passion and work. And yeah, look, for me, Czechia are one of my favorite countries in the contest. I think they have the potential to win. They send things that are unusual, different, outside the box. They have a different way of thinking, and I think that's important to have that special sauce X factor that you need to stand out and win Eurovision. I don't think that you can win now with a generic bop, with generic staging. You've got to have something really, really wow. We see that now in the top three every single year. So I would love to see Czechia win. You know, having another first-time winner would be amazing. They haven't won junior or adult Eurovision. I don't think they've ever been in junior Eurovision. They've never competed in junior Eurovision. So yeah, they've never had that success before. I would love to see it happen. Eurovision in Prague would be so debaucherous. Oh my God. It would just be like, it would be very naughty, and I would really love it. So fingers crossed that Czech can continue to make progress, and I would love to see them just being announced a little bit earlier. I would like them to solidify their place in the contest instead of this being to like year to year battle for them to compete. So that brings us to 35 countries. We're still waiting on a couple more. I think the main ones that people are still looking at now are confirmation about Montenegro. I said in my last video that it was implied by the Montenegrin media that they won't be coming back, but we haven't had an official confirmation yet from the broadcasters. I'm not expecting them to come back. Australia is still the big one. Everyone, nobody knows. I think it's the same as the Czech delegation. I think they are working their asses off behind the scene to try and make it happen. Who knows, maybe they got an extension, maybe they're literally fighting the battle right now, but I really, really want Australia back. We're also still waiting on a confirmation from Romania and also Armenia as well. No news on that. There might be an announcement coming this week or next week, thanks to Eurovision RD, who tweeted me the dates that historically the confirmation list is announced. So the last 2 years, it's been on the 20th of October, which is tomorrow, because I'm filming this on the 19th, and then in 2021 it was on the 26th of October, 7th of November, 31st of October, Halloween, and 26th of November. So it seems to be that kind of like last week. So it seems like we're probably going to be getting in the next week or so. I'll probably upload this video and then an announcement will come out straight after it. And finally, a small update on Bulgaria. I already kind of ruled them out because they've been so adamant that they're definitely not coming back on their Twitter account. But there was a little bit of a slip up yesterday. The BNT Eurovision account accidentally posted a picture of them saying, "Our artist will be announced on this date." Now, the Eurovision sleuths detectives on Twitter managed to work out that this was actually the announcement date for their 2019 entry. So basically they had an old post, and for some reason they reposted it. They deleted it pretty quickly, but some people saw it, quote, retweeted it. I even posted a message myself, and BNT Eurovision got back to everybody with pretty much the same message saying, sorry, this was an accident, we're not coming back, but maybe in the future. So their message is a little bit more positive now. I've got to admit, I'm holding on to that 0.00001% chance that this is all like a very elaborate bluff. We do know that the BNT Eurovision account it's got a strong sense of humor. If you followed them in previous years, they really are like quite naughty. So it's not totally unbelievable, but yeah, it's pretty delusional. I'm admitting that I'm delusional. I'm willingly delusional because I want this to happen. Bulgaria being one of my favorite countries in the contest ever. So our next story is a bit of drama from Twitter. It's actually about Eurovision News with a Z at the end, which was becoming one of the main news outlets on Twitter. I like these accounts that kind of like post all the latest news and whatnot, but Eurovision News with a Z had a reputation for kind of posting a lot of rumors, a lot of things unsourced, not citing who their source was. So for me, when I see my Eurovision News, I want to know, okay, who said that? Is it like the head of delegation, or is it your mate down the pub who's just kind of pulling facts out of their ass? So there was a lot of criticism for Eurovision News with a Z. They would be saying things as facts when it wasn't the case. But overall, I thought they were very dedicated. They were posting a lot, keeping us informed, providing us a service for free. But for some reason, their account's been suspended. So I posted this genuinely asking like, what happened to Eurovision News? I have no idea. I didn't see anything that was like weird or bad or them posting anything extreme or anything like that. So I don't know what a reason for it was. I asked, nobody was able to give me like a definitive answer. This is why. There were a couple of theories, but yeah, they've just disappeared. And I think they had almost 10,000 subscribers at the time. They really were growing very, very quickly. So a lot of people seemed happy about this because they didn't like this like unreliable nature of, I think if they just changed the account name to Eurovision Rumors, there would have been no problem because it would have been all there in the title. It's the fact that if you call yourself news, I think you need to be quite responsible in what you post and that it's all legitimate and correctly sourced and you know that it's actuality and not kind of fake news. But yeah, sad to see them go. You know, they were very active on Twitter. So if anybody knows the reason why, please let me know in the comments. I still don't know what happened to them. So our next story is about Vision, and they are currently organizing a national top 10 Eurovision songs of all time. So all the songs that were in national finals all over Europe over all the years that didn't make it to Eurovision are able to compete to find what is the best national final song that didn't go to Eurovision. I submitted my top 10. They asked me to, and I did so happily because I love the Vision guys. This was my top 10 in the end. I have to admit, this was like Sophie's choice. This was so difficult to do. It was like choosing between all of my favorite 100 children. But yeah, in the end, I chose Emiliana from France 2018, I think. Yeah, because 2019 was Joie, 2018 was Merci. But yeah, that song is just... that would have been my number one that year if it had won its national final. Absolutely amazing. Daughter, Bulletproof came second by only 1 point in 2020. Even if she'd won, she wouldn't have been able to go to Eurovision anyway. Lorraine and Statements, again, not my favorite Lorraine song ever. That actually is I'm In It With You. Simone, Heart-Shaped Hole. This is why Danish people don't deserve nice things, because this song was amazing. And then the Danish broadcaster put it second in the running order, and then it came third. And Freya from this year on Banks. So loads and loads of really fantastic songs. I won't go through all of them. And I'm also going to show you the ones that made my short list but didn't make it into the top 10, because these are the babies that I didn't choose, which I feel terribly guilty about. Sleepless Nights, Not Happy. They should make a top 20. That's how they should solve this problem. But these are, if they made a top 20, then I'd have a top 30, 40. So yeah, there's no end to the lists that I can make. Someone's gonna have to get cut. But yeah, these are the 10 songs that I had to cut out, unfortunately. But yeah, I like the concept of this because for me, I only started really following national finals quite heavily in 2016. And the thought of going back through all the older national finals is quite gruesome because, you know, you find some good songs, but there's also a lot of crap as well, and filtering through that is quite exhausting. If you're a new Eurovision fan or someone who followed Eurovision but not the national finals, a competition like this can kind of show you all the really, really great songs that you've missed. It kind of does the work for you. It filters out the crap, shows you all the golden gems, and then you go, ooh, great, I've got 15 new songs I didn't know about. So I'm really looking forward to them announcing the results. I don't know the exact date. I'll put it here. I'm just gonna push the work onto editing Tom. That's the date that the result will be announced. I think they're pairing up with Escape Radio to do the whole thing. So maybe they'll do an announcement in the same way that ES 250, which is the top 250 Eurovision songs as voted for by Eurovision fans, which is done on New Year's Eve. That's how that's done. We got a small update as well from Monaco's broadcaster explaining why they aren't participating this year, and they basically just said they didn't have time to fully process and get everything organized. I think they set up the broadcaster maybe 2 weeks before the registration date. For me, that's a good sign, because it's almost like they're saying, look, we didn't have enough time this year, but we will have time next year. If they had said we didn't sign up because we've no interest, well, that's not really a problem. That can be solved easily. But just a shortage of time, it makes sense. I would hope now that that means that they're going to be back next year. So looking forward to Monaco coming back in 2025 with Charles Leclerc on the piano, someone else singing a ballad from France, and then winning, and then us all going to Monte Carlo and having to take out loans because everything's going to be so expensive. But hopefully they don't win. It's too expensive. Let's go to some national final news, and we have an absolute ton for you. First up is Albania. We know that Festival IN Nwws, which is their national final, it's also kind of like Albania's big national music final. It's more than just something that they use to pick their Eurovision song. That's happening on the 19th to the 21st of December. We were originally told that there were going to be 27 artists competing, 13 established and 14 new artists, but actually we've got 31, which is a very unusual big number. I don't know why they just make it into 30, because then you got 15 in 2 semi-finals, and then maybe 10 win in each semi-final. Anyway, Albania want to do things differently. I'm not sure how many we were getting in the final last year. We went from 26 to 21, so we lost 5. Maybe they'll do the same, 31 down to 21, so lose 5 from each semi-final or something like that. Unfortunately, they aren't going to be previewing the songs. Last year they did the same. The first time that people hear the songs is during the show. So a little bit like Melodifestivalen, except with like slightly less high quality production. But yeah, it's a little bit disappointing. I won't be able to do my like reaction video where I like listen to all the songs and we all kind of watch them together, but I am going to live stream it. So I'm just working right now on how I'm going to set up my live streams. I need to get some equipment. I need to learn a little bit of software, but I've got plenty of time until the 19th of December. So my aim is that I will live stream it and we can all watch it together and be enchanted or be confused. Maybe a bit of both, maybe some enchanted confusion. We do know that they're going back to using a jury and televote to decide the winner. Last year, I think it was the jury decided the Festival IN Nwws winner, which was Esla Lila, and then the televote was won by Albina, so the televote winner went to Eurovision. So they're mixing it back now. I'm not sure if that's a decision they made immediately afterwards or what happened there. But we've also had the artist announcement list as well. We can see Ela Lila, who won last year, is back. But I thought her song last year, Evita, was fantastic, really beautiful. It would have done extremely well with the juries. Great that she's coming back. I hope that she gets to go to Eurovision at some point. And speaking of people who've been to Eurovision, Keshi Tola, I'm definitely saying her name wrong, sorry. Someone tell me how to say her name, Keshi. She's coming back. She was the contestant in 2009 in Moscow, and that is my favorite Albanian Eurovision song ever. Very closely followed by Suis by Rona Nishlu Suis. Very interesting to see what she's coming back with 15 years later. I assume she's going to have a very different tone this year. We also have big news about the Malta national final. So we're getting 30 artists, I believe. Oh, 36, but yeah. So we're getting 36 artists. It's a competition to see who can have the largest national final. Nobody's going to beat San Marino, which had like over 100, but 36 is still quite immense. Semi-finals. I hope that they make the final a little bit smaller. I actually didn't watch the majority of Malta national final last year. It's just too big for me and too convoluted. And I just didn't feel like the quality justified how long it was. It's very drawn out as well. So I hope that they're editing it down a little bit more and making the final a little bit more digestible, a little bit more entertaining. But the song titles here look really cool. I actually like the song titles. So we've got Banana from Matt Black. He's definitely talking about penises. Belus, which I think means war. Buza, so we're gonna have a song in Maltese. Bloodstream, that's a cool name. Breaking Bad from Netflix. Cloudmaker's cool. Condition or Friction, amazing. Feather Flight, brilliant. Fireproof, which is going to be an alternative version to Bulletproof. Then we've got Ryan Hill singing Karma. So he came second last year. I think he was also entered in the OG Second Chance, so I think he's going to be one of the favorites. We've got another song in Maltese, Tagna Tien. I don't know how to say Maltese at all. From Jessica Mikalev, I recognize her name. There's Only Flowers, so hopefully that's not a funereal song. Topic blah blah, Venom Wildcard. So yeah, some of these names are really good. Usually I find the Maltese song names kind of cringe. They're like invulnerable, invincible, unbeatable, amazing. So I like that these song titles actually sound more interesting. They're going to be about something different. We don't have any Brooke Borg, which I think a lot of people were disappointed about, and we don't have any Aiden. So that's kind of sad as well. You know, all the drama last year with Ritmu being disqualified, which I always felt was a little bit dodgy, and then they invited him back to perform at the final, which is just very, very strange. A little bit disappointing, but I'm happy to see Matt Black there. I imagine his Banana song is going to be very entertaining. I have to admit, the song titles alone are making me more curious that I will watch the semi-finals this year. Okay, we also have some news about Eesti Laul, which is the Estonian national final. So I watched an episode from Epic's Eurovision guy, who is a Estonian Eurovision commenter and reactor, and he went into like a deep dive about everything that's happening right now, explaining how the head of delegation has stepped down. They've got a new one now. I don't know if this new lady is the head of delegation, but she's the new producer for Eesti Laul, and unlike the previous guy who was like pure Eurovision, he was the producer of Eesti Laul, and then the rest of the year he was just Eurovision, building connections, networking, getting people to submit songs. She is only going to be the producer of Eesti Laul, and then she has other things that she needs to do in the broadcaster. So a little bit similar to Ireland's situation, where Michael Keeley, the Irish head of delegation, manages Eurovision, but he has other work as well. So I don't know why Estonia saw Ireland's system and said, wow, Ireland suck at Eurovision, let's copy their system that isn't working, where there's not enough staff and support for the head of delegation, and he's not even able to work full time. So a little bit disappointed to see this, especially since Estonia has been so good recently, had a great result this year coming 8th. The old head of delegation was quite critical, saying like, why are you changing something that's been working so well? I presume it's funding. They just don't have the money. In any case, they're going from 15 to 35 jury members. With only 2 weeks left until the end of submissions, they only had 12 songs, which is very, very alarming. Now, I presume the majority of the songs they receive are going to come towards the end of submission period. But I find it really bizarre that they even told us this. Why are they telling us this shocking, drastic, bad news? I wonder, are they doing it because they're trying to like motivate Estonians to send in songs like, hey, we've only received 12, this is your chance? Maybe. I think that's a conversation that should happen privately. I think putting out that information publicly is very alarming. We will know which artists are competing by November 8th. More national selection news, not national final because the Netherlands are internally selecting. So Anouk, who represented the Netherlands in 2013 and broke their horrible, disgusting 8 non-qualification streak, she has said that she wanted to represent the Netherlands again this year with one of the songs from her new album, but unfortunately she wanted to release the album in November, which is too early, so she basically wasn't eligible. So it's kind of like disappointing to hear that she's like kind of disqualified because of that technicality. Interestingly, this year Norway have changed that, so they're saying that any song released after September 1st, even if it's already been released to the public, can still be the song for Norway. So if the Netherlands had a similar system to Norway, this wouldn't be an issue because she would just release the album. People could say, oh, these songs are great, these songs aren't great. And then she can turn around and say, actually, this song that you've been listening to for the last 2 months is our song for Eurovision. I'm interested to see how this system that Norway is doing this year, could this potentially spread? People are starting to dislike Norway for all their innovations from their head of delegation, who's very controversial. But I actually think this idea of any song being eligible makes a little bit more practical sense. And some quick news on San Marino. They are having their final on March 2nd. They're going to have 8 big artists and 8 emerging artists. So I didn't realize there were so many artists in San Marino, but maybe those 8 big artists are going to just be like a big bunch of Italians. But yeah, that's good that their final is going to be a little bit smaller, 16. I hope they clean it up and make it a little bit more entertaining, like build up a bit of suspense, give it some points, make it a bit more of a show instead of just like, those are the results, that's your winner, okay. How did that happen? So yeah, I'm hoping they do a little revamp of their national final, but great that San Marino participates every year considering they're a microstate. We may be seeing Brooke in Eurovision. Someone messaged me on Instagram explaining that she had a story on her Instagram account saying that she has submitted a song to Eurosong. I wasn't able to find anything myself. They messaged her saying, like this if you submitted a song, and she liked it. So it appears that she has submitted a song to Eurosong. So that's great. I think she's a fantastic performer. Great that she wants to come back again. It showed that she had a good experience. So yeah, interesting to see if Brooks got another really good song for Eurovision. And finally, to wrap up the national final news, we have a message from ESC News with no Z from Portugal, and they posted on Twitter the number of songs submitted so far to each national final. So winning by an absolute mile is Sweden, 2,624. Spain had a record with 825. That's the most ever. Portugal also with a record, 809. Germany 693, Netherlands 600. So we can kind of see there's a correlation with population. Apart from Portugal, actually no, there isn't, because Sweden's population I think is 8 or 9 million. There are some caveats to this. For example, the Irish national selection, each person's only allowed to submit one song, even as a co-writer. So for example, if you applied that to Sweden, that number would go down drastically because you have so many people who are writing their songs and then are co-writers on other songs. It's not always quantity over quality, but yeah, at the same time, 12 songs for Estonia there at the bottom is very, very alarming. Like, at the flip side, 65 for Ukraine, you know those 65 songs, there's going to be some very good stuff in there. And 419 for Finland as well. The quality is going to be fantastic. Surprised as well that Albania was so low with 80 and then they chose 31. So maybe it was kind of like they were talking to people behind the scenes and did some invitations. Almost half the songs submitted to Albania made it in. Our next story is about Junior Eurovision, and this was a post sent to me by ESC Hayden, who actually just featured me on his channel. He did a mini documentary about the UK in Eurovision because he's British, talking about like, are they going to go through a golden period? So go check that out. But he sent me this split between girls and boys in Junior Eurovision. Recently I've been speaking about how it's very female dominant this year. So you can see here this magenta color is for the ladies and this blue color is for the boys, and 2023 you can see is very heavily skewed towards the girls. We've just got Sepp in Netherlands, and then we've got the two boys from Renina in Georgia. No solo male act. If you compare that to, for example, 2021, where we had France, Georgia, Ireland, almost half of the contestants were boys. So I saw some people replying to me saying that this can be due to voice issues. So obviously boys, their voices can break and that can really mess things up because their vocals are going to get completely altered, and then there's the predictability of you don't know when that's going to happen. So that's one aspect to it. Me personally, I still think there's like a slight bias towards boys doing performing arts. I know when I was a kid, I used to get bullied for doing dance classes and I have to hide it because it was something that I was meant to be ashamed about. So I still think that there's a lot of that going around. I hoped that things were better, but I don't know, when you see 16 different countries and there's not a single solo male artist, for me that kind of indicates that like there's still this stigma about boys not doing quote unquote feminine things, which is singing and dancing, which is crazy. I don't need to tell you that that's crazy, but yeah, I think it's a little bit sad, to be honest, that there's just so little interest from boys, or that they're too shy or they're too worried about going up publicly and doing some sort of performance that they're going to get bullied or hassled or whatnot. So like Hayden actually did out the percentages, and if you just go by the act, 20% are boys, 73% are girls, and 7% are mixed. So yeah, like that's almost 4 times more girls. Irish national final for Junior Eurovision this year, there were 24 acts and 23 of them were girls. So yeah, I can say I feel pretty confident I'm from Ireland saying that is boys not wanting to go on TV and perform. Thank you to ESC Hayden for providing me those graphics. Thank you to Annika and Myra for supporting me on Buy Me a Coffee. Also big shout out to Megan and Aaron from Arkansas for supporting me on PayPal. And finally a shout out to She La 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 for giving me a super thanks. Thank you to everyone for supporting the channel. If you want to do the same, I'll leave some links for you in the description. But as always, thank you so much just for watching and interacting. Of course, a massive thank you to all my Patrons who are all over the world supporting me. If you want to check out my Patreon channel, I will leave a link for you in the pinned comment. I'm working on developing some fun new rewards as well, but you can get updates and news there. So that's it for another Eurovision news update. I hope to see you on another one very soon. Goodbye.